Hello and welcome to the Keith Small podcast, where we're diving deep with the business owners shaping Pembrokeshire. I'm Keith Small, and each week I sit down with the entrepreneurs and leaders driving our community forwards. Whether it's their biggest win, their toughest challenges, or the unexpected turns that got them here, you're going to hear all about it. So stick around. This podcast is brought to you by Media to Motion. So, hello and welcome. This is the first episode of the Keith Small podcast, where I get the opportunity to meet, greet and talk to local businesses across Pembrokeshire about their experiences, wins, challenges, how it all started, and just generally to have a good chat about what it's like having a business in Pembrokeshire. Today, for podcast number 1, I am joined by my friend and the great Lloyd Grayshon, Media to Motion. For me as well, also Dame Lloyd Grayshon, because of all your wonderful escapades at the Talk Theatre each Christmas at the Pantomime Dame. I'm sure that'll probably come up in conversation, but welcome. Thank you for joining me, and can't wait to talk to you about everything today.
Thank you very much, Keith. That's a very nice intro. Dame, I like that. You know, I think more people should refer to me by my proper title, you know.
Yeah, it's only got a ring to it, that's for sure. Yeah, you know, and I think it's just, you know, part of the whole persona, and it's just the expectation that I have when I see you now. But is it 8 years I've known you? You know,
must be about 8. Right? Yeah, that sounds about right. Because Media to Motion has been going 2016, I think it is. Yeah. We started, so yeah, it must be, because it would have been with the collab bunch. Yeah,
absolutely. Probably about 2018. Yeah, maybe do it, but definitely.
I remember you coming in to do just a guest spot.
Yep.
And you know, there's a big old room of us. Back in the day, there was a big old room, wasn't there? And I remember thinking, what's this all about? And then as soon as you started speaking, I was like, there you go. He knows what he's talking about. This is scary. He's going to see right through me.
I say it's well prepared, well acted that day. But no, 8 years, and I think this is part of the conversation for me today, because there's so many things I know about you, there's so many things I know about Media to Motion, but I really kind of want to get into the depth, the other bits, the bits that people maybe don't hear about, understand, the things that you love, the things that you are scared about, but just really kind of dig in deep in terms of Lloyd Grayshon, Media to Motion, and what it means to work here in the beautiful sunny Pembrokeshire as it is today.
So you're going to make me use my brain for...
I'm going to get you thinking today.
As you know, that's not a strong point. It's not a strong point of mine.
Well, I'm going to challenge myself. I've got all sorts of lovely questions that I'd like to ask and refer to. I'm sure during the natural conversation there'll be other areas that we go into, but I just really want to find out about how it all started. But I guess the first question for me, before we get into the business, is tell me more about you, Lloyd, because obviously how things happened, how you got into Media to Motion, but just tell us a bit about you, your background, where you came from, how you grew up.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Haverfordwest. I grew up in a little village called Hook, just outside. Proud Hook boy. How did I get into all of this? Well, it started all the way back in school when I realised that, you know, the academic side of things wasn't really my strong point. So I kind of fell into the role of being a bit of a class clown then. And I don't really know where I'm going with this, but, you know, that was...
He's definitely going, so I can feel a build-up coming. There's going to be a moment of, this is what I'm doing. Yeah, go on.
There's going to be tears and everything, isn't there? Straight away, you've broken me. Through school, I found it difficult. You know, with my dyslexia and stuff like that. And when it came to doing all my GCSEs, I didn't do very well. The only thing I was really interested in as a kid was playing rugby. Yeah. At that point, and I really enjoyed that, but that wasn't really going to take me too far. So the summer after my GCSE results, I remember I was doing some work with a friend of the family he was building my sister's house at the time. So I was being a labourer, and I had no idea what I was going to do. Absolutely no idea what I was going to do. The kind of things that I liked to do was mess around and sing and play music and that kind of stuff. You should go and have a chat with a guy called Jim Outram. So some of you in the Pembrokeshire scene would probably remember Jim Outram from back in the day. Great musician, lovely guy. So, and he was running the first diploma performing arts course.
Oh, right, okay.
So, like, that was for the, let's just say that was entry level. So my mum, she said to me, why don't you go and have a chat and see if you fancy the idea of this? So I went along, and he just went, yeah, come and do that. So I got into the whole acting side of it. And it was like, suddenly it was like, okay. So being the clown and doing all that, it kind of makes sense now. And I got to do lots of music. And now this will make sense, hopefully, because this is where I had my first taste of creating videos and
this
stuff.
Is where I'm connecting the dots.
Yeah, we're connecting the dots now.
Mm.
As a kid, I used to have like an old VHS camera that I used to mess around with with my friends and stuff like that. But this was the first opportunity that I had to pick up a video camera and create my own things. So I did that course. I thought, oh, this is going to be a career, so I'm going to pursue this. And I was fortunate enough in 2001 to go to East 15 Acting School, which is a quite prestigious school up in London, and then did all my acting course. Yeah. And I thought, here we go. The first Welsh James Bond.
On your way,
now, this is the first Welsh James Bond, or has there been, because was it Timothy Dalton? Was he? But I think there was some sort of like Welsh connection. I think, possibly. Write in, comment below if that's correct. Tell me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. So that was the plan. I was going to go and do all of that kind of thing. So up in London, did all of that, and then. When I graduated, I tried auditioning like crazy and then had to do the hard world of, no, sorry, you're not quite right for the part.
So many no's.
It was ridiculous. And it was a weird situation because it was one of those things that you knew exactly as you walked into a room. It didn't matter. Like, it was bizarre because you'd sit in a room and then you'd look around and you go, oh, my life, there's like 20 of me. You know, it's like, this is very bizarre. Yeah. And then you'd walk into a room. And then you would know instantly, and it's a difficult thing to deal with, you know, emotionally, is the casting director would look up and then look down. And then you just knew the amount of times that you just go, no.
Get a feel for it.
That's not for me. I decided to come back to Pembrokeshire for Christmas.
Yep.
And I was asked to play the guitar in the panto band in Pembrokeshire College. So I was come back in the college that I studied in, and I thought, oh yeah, go on then, I'll come back. And I was playing the guitar. And while I was there, the singing teacher on the class, this is not Jim, another singing teacher that they had, she left. So suddenly it was like, Lloyd, can you do me a favour? Can you teach all of the songs and all of the music to all of the band and stuff? And can you do that? And then I somehow sort of fell into being a lecturer in Pembrokeshire College.
Wow.
It was quite
a switch. That.
Yeah, it was quite bizarre.
Switch. Yeah,
you know what's the old saying? Those who can't teach or something. What are those? That kind of thing. So that kind of happened.
So you were saying about you moved into the teacher music lecturer role kind of came about for you. Yeah, and then
that was it. And then next thing I know, I'm teaching sort of video production, acting, music. And it was all like, oh, this is good. And then I remember I did that for a couple of years. And then there was a moment where I thought to myself, hang on a minute now. This wasn't part of the plan. Yeah. So I decided to take voluntary redundancy because they were laying off some people. And there was a few people in the department who had been there for a long time and were a bit concerned about it. So I said, no, I'll do it. I've got an opportunity. I've got bigger and better things that I want to do. So I did that. And then somehow I ended up being a technician in Torch Theatre. Now this does all come back to
that whole connection to the Torch. There it is. There's a theme.
Yeah. It all comes around. So I was getting closer to my dream of becoming an actor because I was at least in the building, but I was a technician. Yeah. And the reason that I kind of got that job was because I had a lot of interest in everything theatrical and technical. I loved that kind of thing. But during all of this process, I was still messing around with making videos. And I was designing stuff and I was editing things and I had my own video cameras and I was just messing about with it. And then while I was there, I was asked to start to create some videos for shows. Yeah. And I was creating digital backdrops and then little bits that sort of were put on screen, little videos that would help tell a story, that kind of thing. And that was going really well. And then the next thing happened that was people were coming down and they'd heard that, oh, are you the guy that can do the video stuff? I was like, yes. And then I was getting asked to do this stuff, but I was doing it all for free. It was kind of like an
interesting track to get on.
Yeah, and then next thing I was recording shows and doing this and putting things together and making backdrops for people and stuff like that. And then I think it was about 2011, 2012, something like that. I thought to myself, hang on a minute. if people are asking me to do this, I wonder if people will pay for me to do this. And then, that was kind of the first step into, right, I dropped everything. I was like, right, I'm going to do this. And then me and my wife at the time, she's still my wife. She had just become yesterday. She had just become my wife.
Yes,
at that time. That's maybe what I'd meant. We decided to move to Cardiff, stay there for a few years, and during that time, I spent most of my time in Pembrokeshire, coming back and forth for work and all that kind of thing. And then, that back and forth for ages. And then in 2016, we moved back to Pembrokeshire. And I was like, right. And that's when Media to Motion became a proper...
There we are. Okay, that's the moment.
At that point. Yeah. I mean, so that's possibly a long-winded way of saying in 2016 it started.
Do you know what? I love it because the thing that I keep getting from that is the experiences you had in terms of taking something that at some point sort of didn't do too great at school or would like to have done better, all of a sudden turning all those challenges into what do I like, what do I enjoy, what I can do. And the skills that you learned along the way to allow you to go, well, hang on a second, I've got something here. And that for me is just a phenomenal story. And I think for so many people at times, whether they're kind of sitting at our age thinking what to do, or people that are planning a career, how do I start it? Knowing that there's things that you learned along the way that can point in a direction or think about things you enjoy will take you on a journey if you give yourself a moment to kind of get into it. And what I want to ask you, because there's some great things that came up to it. When you think about Media to Motion, with where you are now and what you do, how would you describe Media to Motion and what you do for the people that you work for?
Well, we create videos. That's for me. That's how it started. It was video creation. So
what's your strap line again? Because that's always the bit that because this is the bit that always does it for me.
Media to Motion. Don't just tell people what you do. Show them.
Yeah, that's it. That always what show them. Ooh,
yeah,
interesting. So so it's about showing people. Yeah. The outside of what our business or what my business would do, and what else do you do? What kind of things is Media to Motion about?
Well, one thing that we always I've always prided myself on was the ability to sort of find those things that people needed, like the video production and stuff like that, and then finding sort of a unique way of going about it, like telling more of a story. And we do a lot of marketing videos, things like that, anything that those people, training videos, anything that we can help with. But one thing that I really enjoy doing is finding those poignant parts of any business and then trying to make an emotional reaction or an emotional connection to your customer or those kind of things. Because I think as human beings, we tend to act on a lot of impulses and buying things and all of those kind of things. And if we know that we need something, and if you can find an emotional connection with it, you go, oh my God, he's fixed everything. Yeah, that's exactly what I've been in that situation. That's what I need to do, And so that for me was really interesting because it was a way for me to use my creative sort of background and mind and the way that my bizarre brain works. As you could probably tell, it goes all over the place. And then using that sort of the emotional connection and telling the stories and seeing all of those things and thinking that's a great idea and trying to bring those all together, so that's as part of what our business does. That for me is my absolute favorite thing. But we also do pretty much anything that you'll need us to do. Do you know what I mean? We'll help in any shape, way or form with kind of marketing strategies, or especially on the social media aspect side and the connecting to the audiences and gathering a community. But recently, I think, was it 2 years ago? Okay. Not quite yet. We welcomed Dylan, who is
absolutely Dylan,
good old Dylan into the crowd. So Dylan joined us from. He had his own website company, and he is phenomenal at what he does. Is quite. We are very different people, which I think is an absolute blessing, because two of me would be an absolute
two creatives
it would be an absolute nightmare. And while I can go off on tangents and go, "Ooh, this is a great idea," he just looks at me as if to go, "What are you talking about? Do you have any idea what you're doing?" And in all fairness, no, not really. He's got a brilliant mind. He loves the business aspect of business. I do not. Yeah. I am not a fan. I am...
Yeah, so would you say that partnership, basically, and what has that done for how Media to Motion works? That partnership, that coming together of you and Dylan over the last couple of years?
Oh, it's opened up a huge huge amount of different avenues for us to go down. It's opened up connections that I probably wouldn't have had the confidence to do myself, because things like tenders and stuff like that, as soon as somebody says, here's lots of things and lots of forms to fill in, please do that, and I would look at it and go, probably won't, because that's like hell.
There's your perfect day, right?
Just sit and fill all of that in, because like that isn't my bag. I'm not good at that. Where Dylan seems to really enjoy putting together tenders and all that kind of things, and so it worked perfectly with that. And we'd worked together quite a few times in different avenues. First time I met Dylan, I think he was about 13, and I was doing a job in Haverfordwest High, and I was asked to come in to help create a film that one of the students had written, and it just so happened to be Dylan. And I remember seeing him at the time. He was so organised. He had it all together and he knew exactly what he wanted. And I was there and he was working with me. And I helped him direct it and get the film together. And I remember thinking at the time, I thought, boys, he's clever. He's a good kid. He knows what he's doing. And then after that, we stayed in touch. You know, he's from... His elder brother, played cricket with me in Hook.
There's that Pembrokeshire connection. This is Pembrokeshire, basically. Pembrokeshire. Everyone's connected somehow.
So I knew his brother, and then I played cricket with Dylan at the same time over the years. And then he went on his way, and he was designing websites, and he was getting connections and doing all that kind of thing. So we started sort of offloading work to each other. Wow. It was like, I need that, I need that. And then about 2 years ago, it just came to the point where he was kind of in between stuff. I was getting to a point where I was like, I don't think I could progress this business without a bit of help. Because, let's be fair, we all need help at times, don't we? Yeah. And it was something I was ticking along, and I was happy with what I was doing, but there was definitely a lot more that we could offer. And then it just so happened that we were like, how about we bring it together? And then so that's where we are now.
That. And I think it's very interesting when you talk about kind of like business journey of Media to Motion in terms of, right, here I am, happy with what I'm doing, this is where I am, this is probably where I could stay, and all of a sudden you come across someone with a different set of skills, a different thing to bring to the table, and all of a sudden it's like other directions, new opportunities. Would you kind of describe that as a catalyst for the business, something exciting, or was it a pain? I'm joking. Was it like an exciting turning point when that started to happen?
It really was, because we could start to really push in other avenues, like I said, and things that, and he brought such a skill set that I didn't possess, and that's how it works. It works so well with the two of us, because he's got that aspect, he can do all of the stuff, and then it allows me to open up my creative mind a bit more without having to, think about the stresses of all of the stuff that would have held me back. Yeah,
because I guess it's on your mind from when you're trying to be creative. Because I think that's one of the things I was going to ask about your skill set, because I know with some of the wonderful work that I've seen you do, and I get the impression sometimes you use your skills and experience, so for individuals like me who are maybe trying to create a video or content, you're able to say, have you thought about doing? So are you able, or what kind of skills do you kind of try and help your customers with when you're trying to help them get their productions and videos together? What kind of skills do you kind of share with them?
Well, I suppose because of my acting background, I think I've always been an advocate for people who, if it's your company and it's your business, then you should be the face of it. Yeah. Especially in Pembrokeshire, because your face and who you are means a lot around here. But a lot of people go, oh, no, I can't do that. No, I can't talk on hello. I can't look at a camera. And that fear. So one thing that I've been, I'm lucky, I suppose, that I have the ability to help people get over those hurdles in not such a way of just, oh, no, I just need you to stand there and deliver the lines. Just, can you do it, please? Can you just do that to camera? No, can you do it again? And it's rather than it just being like, well, this isn't a fun experience now. Is I try my best to make it fun, and I want people to come away going, oh, actually, yeah, no, I get that now. I understand that, and I am not a fan of being in front of the camera, especially when I can be anybody else.
Yeah.
But when it's yourself, that's the hardest part, isn't it? It's
taking a whole new persona just to kind of put it together. Well, I mean, I guess this is the thing. You give me some brilliant ideas about what media to motion is. You talk about solving problems, finding solutions for organisations, and we started to talk about the additional bits here that you do in terms of helping people through filming situations and so on. What do your customers think about you? Well, how would they describe what you do in terms of the service that you provide, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask.
What do my customers think of me?
Yeah, I'd love it, because I'm wondering if you get feedback, or they just say, oh, that Lloyd and that Media to Motion, they're great at it. What do they say about you?
One thing I do get a lot of, which makes me extremely happy, is that at the end of a shoot, or if we've done everything, I do get a lot of, that was great, we had a wonderful day, it was great fun, because I'm very much an advocate of, look, if it's not fun, don't do it. Do you know what I mean? You really try and keep a relaxed, fun, it's not stressful, that kind of thing. And when I'm working with people, they usually do come away and go, oh, that was a lot more fun than I thought it would be, and it was a lot easier than I thought it would be. So that I'm very proud of the fact that I'm a people person in that kind of sense. Yeah. And one of the skills I learned through all of my previous roles in the acting world and stuff is how to read people and how to adapt to them. It's kind of, it was one of my favorite things to do when I lived in London, was to sit on the tube and just watch people.
Imagine,
because you can create a million characters from just the way people move, the way people sort of sound. You start to get an understanding of people and what they're thinking and what they're kind of doing, and then through body language you can read a lot of how people are. I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah, it's
big fun. Yeah. Well, I'm going to say it's and one of the things I always take from working with clients and customers, and certainly from what I understand, all the work I see you do, always good feedback. But I always see a lot of people that come back, repeat business, either want to do something else with you or do something on an ongoing basis. And I always take that as the greatest level of praise, that people feel good about what you do and that you are of benefit to them. And for me, that is incredibly important. But it's so good kind of getting all these bits and pieces out. But, when I know we've spoken before in various kind of areas, but one thing I'd love to ask you about, you love what you do. You've chosen to follow something you're passionate about. What motivates you to keep going? Because there's going to be days, we have it in all businesses, where we're doing great. And then for some reason, things change, things slow, we hit a bit of a roadblock. What motivates you each day to keep going? Is there anything in particular that makes you go, I'm doing this today because? Is there anything like lines behind you to motivate you?
That's a really interesting question, actually, because sometimes I can suffer hugely with motivation. I love the responsibility of just when you've been tasked with a job or doing something or helping somebody. I really love that kind of that creation. I'm quite honest, there have been times lately that I and I suppose all of us do, we go up and down. I've been struggling with kind of motivation, and it is a question that I've asked myself, what am I doing this for? And I suppose at the end of the day, it's the love of the craft, and it's I love creating things. I haven't created things as much as I would like of late, I've been doing all different kinds of things, but I don't know. It is a really tricky, a difficult question to answer. So I might have to come back to that one and think about it.
I love the fact, though, that you said there's different facets of what you do, because there's that whole moment when you ask yourself, why do you do it? There's some days you go, why do I do it? And there's other days when you go, well, why do I do it? And you ask yourself that question. And what I loved that you put yourself back to was, there's certain things that I'm doing now that I'm enjoying, but there's certain things that I really enjoy that I'm not getting enough of. And I often feel when you look at that, you think, well, how do I do more of that? Yeah. What can I do to change things around? So you're able to bring yourself back on point and go, right, refocused, off I go again, because you've given yourself some direction. Sometimes coming back to what motivates you, I feel, makes such a big difference. And I guess that kind of feeds into the next thing I was going to ask about, because you talked about challenges, you talked about certain situations that come up for any business. If there's like a challenge that you've had, is there one in particular that you've felt you've had to navigate, or are there kind of like constant challenges which you're learning and adapting all the time? Or is there something that sticks out in your mind in terms of, here's the biggest challenge that I had, and here's how I managed to get through? Or is it still going? You know,
the biggest challenge I had was telling myself that I knew what I was doing. You know, it's like, and not feeling like a fraud. For a long time, because, you know, in my eyes, I'm just an actor. I just do what's on the paper. I pretend to be other people. And there was a long period where I thought to myself, well, maybe I'm just pretending to do this, and I'm pretending to own a company, and I'm pretending to be a businessman. And it was kind of like, well, hang on a minute. When does the pretending stop? And you turn around and go, oh, actually, no, I am. No, maybe it is me. Maybe I'm not just pretending to do this.
Yeah.
I suppose when it started, there was that kind of like, what do they call it? The imposter syndrome.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, of like when people were asking me to do things, and I was like,
can I do this?
Can I? Yeah, okay. Yeah. And I was doing a lot of waiting around for people to say, no, it's okay. You can do that. And I suppose that has never left me, really.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bit bizarre.
Well, I think it's that thing, because I know there's many times I have conversations with people who talk about challenges, and very often there's one challenge that sticks out, or multiple challenges that come up on you. But as you said, very often there's going to be something that's ongoing, and it's not necessarily a challenge which is created externally. It's something that you feel yourself.
Yeah.
And it's said very often the biggest challenge is, how do I get through it? Because believing in myself, or believing in what I do, there's going to be days, and I think we all go through it, we think, is this right for me? Can I do this?
Yeah.
Am I giving the right thing to my customers? And it's just bringing yourself back. Well, how do I know? And you have to go back into the experiences, things that you've learned, things that you've done well, which is when you gave great examples. And I often think one of the biggest things to do is to think about, what are the biggest wins I've had for myself as a business and for my clients? So are there any big wins that kind of stick out for you? Because I think you've got lessons you have from experiences that don't go well, but you have massive lessons as well from the positives, the wins. So what's your biggest win to date, if you had to choose one or maybe two?
I suppose there's wins in different sections, isn't there? You know, there's never just one sort of, that's it, I won that, done, cheers. There's wins that have happened throughout the my whole sort of time as being of doing all of this. I remember the first time I got employed to make a video. That was a huge win. Yeah. When somebody actually trusted me and said, no, you tell me what you want to do. And it was kind of a nice way of doing it, because I was employed by the Torch Theatre to come back in and create some things and create some videos and stuff like that.
From the free stuff to paid stuff.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, exactly. And that was like oh, yeah, actually now people are starting to take me seriously. Yeah. And then I remember when I had a big contract with a lady called Sarah Safety. And we did, I think she was doing health and safety videos for the NHS. And it was just around, it could have been, I think it was just before COVID. And she timed it perfectly, you know, because she decided to take her classroom courses online. And this was probably all in all about a 6-month project. And we'd set up in different studios and stuff like that, and we were doing this thing, and I was there, and it was the first time it kind of felt like wow, this is a bit of a 9-to-5 type thing, you know, because from the way that my business works, it's usually, right, I'm shooting for a day with them, and then you come back and you do the editing, and then you're kind of like doing something else. And it was always, but this was kind of like, oh, we've got one goal at this point. And then I think we created over the years, I think we've created something like 50 hours of training, her and I together. I remember when she asked me to quote, she said, oh, this is the whole thing, here's the quote. And I remember thinking, right, adding up all the hours, adding up how long I thought it would take, and then looking at the total and going, oh my gosh, she's never going to pay that. Do you know what I mean? I was like...
There's that belief thing again, isn't
straight away. I was like, even though that's what it's worth, this is what, I was like, just that sheer panic of, but that's quite a bit of money. Like, she's just going to look at that and go, absolutely not, no way. I'll do it on my phone. Yeah. She was so good because she said to me, she said, you know, I value your opinion, I value your expertise, and I value what you're going to bring to this, and you're going to help take me to the next level, and that's exactly why I'm asking you to do it. And it was like, oh, and then she said, absolutely had no problem with it. And it was like, that was a bigger win.
That must have been a huge turning point, considering, as you said, what you go through in terms of, can I do this? Am I the right person? So that must have been amazing to experience that.
It was brilliant because it was kind of like, it was justification of all that time and effort, and those, when that's what I thought I was worth, and somebody agreed, you go, wow, you know, that was great. So that'll always have a special place in my heart, because it was that first time that I thought, no, come on, you know what you're doing now, you know.
I guess that's kind of like almost when you said that goes from fun to a career to a business and so on, because very often you ask people, when did you know that you were a business? Well, when I got my first tax bill. But when you have a moment like that where somebody goes, trust you, love what you do, well worth the money, here it is. What a turning point, because now it's like, I can do this. Who's next? I can imagine. I'm going to be the belief to be able to talk to other clients about what you're doing and move forward.
Yeah,
so
100%. And it was like that. Then I started to, you know, sort of listen a bit more to myself and go, no, you could do that. You could see, you know, if there was things out there, and go and approach that company. Go and, I know that they want to do that. Go and see them. Go and have the confidence to go in and do it. And so. Yeah, that was great. And and you know, I'm still working with her on and off now, which is great.
There's the whole thing again, you know, you must be great at what you do, because your customers come back to you again and again and say, can you do the next thing with us? I'm planning on doing this. And that's huge validation for me. Yeah. But you talked earlier about kind of like people who've influenced you along the way. When you look across Pembrokeshire, we're getting into some Pembrokeshire areas now, are there any companies that you look at Pembrokeshire and go, that's inspired me? Or you look at organizations and say, okay, that's not exactly what I want to do. I've got my own dream, but knowing that other people can achieve this level of success, are there companies that you look at and go, yeah, if they can, I can?
Yes, there are. I suppose there's, for me, because my life has been very tied to sort of the Torch Theatre and stuff. There was, that's always had a big place in my heart, and I've always been a big fan of what they do and how they do it. You know, sometimes, like every business, they don't do it exactly right, but there's always that progression. There's always something coming, and they always ask me back, which is nice. And then through CoLab and things like that, you know, is the people that I've had the opportunity to meet that are in completely different fields that I would never have dreamt of sort of rubbing shoulders with or knowing. It's like there's, I suppose, somebody in the close sort of world that I live in is like somebody like Angus from Weberjet.
Absolutely,
you know, when he comes in and gives his sort of like, oh, just doing this, just doing that, and the clients that he's got, you know, you can't help but sit there and go, oh, that's nice, good, that's impressive, like, you know, and I try not to sort of copy anybody's sort of mantra or do anything. I'm very much my own person, and I work very differently to a lot of people. And that's what I really love about CoLab, you know.
Our Friday mornings.
Morning
meetings. There's so much stuff that comes up in terms of things that we share, things how we support each other. But you said one of the things that I get from CoLab and the people that attend, you included, is that we all see what people are challenged with. We all see where people are winning. But I think the bit that I take from it as well, which is all good, is that these shared experiences, as you said, you don't want to copy them, but you can look at it and say, well, hang on a second. What if I take certain aspects of it? What if I take that experience that someone has had and use it for my situation? Because that helps me turn a corner. Yeah. And, you know, there's so many lovely bits we get from different members of that, you know, of our CoLab group, which always inspire. But, you know, as you said, it's that whole thing. You can look to people to inspire you, but you don't necessarily want to copy them, because that's their journey, that's their path. And it's not necessarily what you want to be or what you want to do.
Yeah. But we're never going to be the same kind of people, you know. It's like our brains work differently, you know, all those kind of things. But you can take little attributes and things that other people do, that those people around you, and think, I like that, you know, that's great. I need to do more of that. And if I did more of that, I would probably be a bit more successful, you know. So that's, like you said, you know, that's a wonderful thing about being in a room full of people that aren't in the same field as you. You know, it's very easy to be sort of in your own channel.
Yeah, you can kind of feel like you're
I
on your own, especially when you're kind of like a small to medium-sized business. Like, well, must be only me that's being challenged, or it must be only me that's experiencing this. It's like, oh, hang on a sec.
Yeah, exactly.
Very similar. I'm going to say, when you look across Pembrokeshire and companies, do you feel there's kind of like unique challenges that we have as businesses in Pembrokeshire, and what are they, if you do?
Yes, Pembrokeshire can be very difficult to sort of break. Especially, you know, Pembrokeshire has this lovely way of being loyal to people that they're with. So if you're coming in as somebody new trying to offer something different, there's always a bit of, well, such and such does that for us, so why, what? And you could have the best thing in the world, you know, the best product or whatever it is, or you could say, look, I can really help you with this. I think you just need to do this and this, and it's like, well, no, because we got Steve who does that, and we've had Steve forever, and it's as a business owner in Pembrokeshire, it's sort of a blessing and a curse, isn't it?
I was going to say, because when you've got those connections, then it's like, oh, let me introduce you to, because he's my cousin. And it's incredible how that word will spread. But as you said, I think it's that challenge, I think we've all experienced at some point, is having that first connection, which leads you to the next one. But huge point. What do you love about working in Pembrokeshire, though? Is it those connections, or are there other things that you enjoy? Because I always think about, for me, this is my view of your world, these lovely locations, out and about, not thinking about the rain and the bits that go with it, but you know, what is it that kind of you enjoy about working in Pembrokeshire and running things here?
Well, you know, you've hit the nail on the head there. You know, as somebody who takes photos and makes videos and does all that kind of stuff, I've got the best backdrop, haven't I? You know, it's fantastic. And through all of the different aspects of what I've done over the years, you know, with the theatre, the music, all of these kind of things, I've met a lot of people. You know, my kids always find it hilarious that everywhere we go, they're like, somebody's saying hello to me, or I'm having a chat with somebody. They're like, how do you do that? Well, how's that happen? You know, it's like, I bumped into somebody from Pembrokeshire in an airport in Mallorca, I think it was. You know, it's like having a chat with somebody. My kids are just looking at me going, we're on a holiday, we're in a different country. How are you talking?
Travels with you.
Yeah. And I love that about Pembrokeshire, is that, you know, the community is great, the backdrop is great. Like I said, that sort of loyalty, and but it can go against you as well, because if you mess up,
that does keep you on your game, that's for sure. You
could be alienated in Pembrokeshire as well. You know, I hold Pembrokeshire in my heart hugely, because it's you know, it's who I am. It's where I was brought up. I went and did the Big Smoke. I realised I came home back more often than I didn't. You know, it was like London was great, but wasn't enough beaches for me, and there wasn't enough opportunities to just
very much a problem. I find.
Exactly. You know, and just having that ability to just have space. You know, it's like, there's nothing better than going for a walk. I take my camera with me. Like the other night, I went up and I sat at the top of Newgale with my camera, pointing at the stars, going, any minute now there's going to be a meteor storm. Apparently, I thought this is going to be great, so I set it all up. I sat there, and it was about 12 o'clock at night. I was sitting there with my thing going, nothing yet. Anywhere between 12 and 2, they said, you know, this one, when I'd done a bit of research, and I was like, okay, great. It got to about 1:15. I've never been so cold in my life. You know? And I was like, had all the clothes, and I was like, it is April. That's a fair point. And the wind had picked up, and I was crouched behind my car, and I thought, nah, do you know what? I can do this again.
Timing's everything. That's the thing. I had a very similar experience. The bats coming out at Stackpole Court, the amount of times I've been walking my dog late, and it just happens to me. They just happen to come out, perfect timing. Everyone's been waiting hours, and I just walk past. So I took my wife back. Did they come out? No. Freezing cold. I know the minute that we got to the car park, they came out. They've been waiting for us to leave. It's always like meteor showers, bats. They run to no timetable. Yeah. But I'm going to ask a question, and this is kind of like a big thing in terms of ideal world. Media to Motion over the next year, 3 years, 5 years, where would you like to be? What are you aiming for? Big question, I know.
Big question. Well, as you know, but not many people may know, or we did release something, is we've had we got a great contract working with the Henry Tudor Trust.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. That was great. Working on their marketing, building all of their websites, doing their social media, all that kind of thing, their branding and stuff like that. So that was our first sort of big job, to be trusted by a local authority, that kind of thing. I've worked with the local authorities in bits, drips and drabs. I've worked with the fire brigade and done all of that kind of stuff, which is great fun. But this was the first sort of like big one.
Yeah.
And it kind of gave us that little bit of a thirst for, okay, if we can do this for them, so where can we go from here? And I think, going down the line, helping companies with sort of either whether it be rebranding or starting up, these kind of things. And rather than just going in to help on certain aspects, maybe using our skills and what we've got is to help create an entire brand sort of package for people and get them either started or rebranding and that kind of thing, and then taking it on board and then being able to say, right, everything is in place for you. There you go. Call us if you need us, type thing. But setting up companies and anyone who needs it to be in a position where they feel like that they can move forward. So it's not just, you need that, come and we'll do it for you. Less of we'll do it for you. It's like, we'll get you started, we'll help you with the ability and the skills to carry on. And then if you need any more, then hopefully you'll come back and say, actually, this may be a little bit above what we are capable of doing. Because, it's like, as you well know, when as business owners and people who do things, we're good at what we do, but all of there's other aspects that not so much. It's like you could be the top salesman, but you may know nothing about social media and all of these aspects. So it's moving forward. We want to work with more companies that were sitting there and going, right, okay, we need to sort all of this out. This whole thing, this whole area, this marketing and awareness area. We need a bit of help with, and that's the kind of thing we want to be doing more of, working a lot closer with people, giving them a strategy, giving them a place to start, and then for them to feel like they've got the confidence to move on. It's almost like take the stabilizers off.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye, off you go. I hope it all works, and if you need anything, we'll be there. But you're not relying on us.
Got it. I mean, is that kind of like if you had to pick on like a customer service focus, is that part of it? Are there other aspects that you do that allow you to deliver what you feel is good customer service, which allows people to come back? Because we talked about how you make people feel comfortable. You want to give them the opportunity to work with you, but then move forward if they need to. What makes good customer service from your point of view for Media to Motion to deliver?
I think it's our ability to teach, in a sense. Do you know what I mean? It's like we don't hold all our cards close to our chest and say, no, this is how we do it. This is what you're going to do moving forward. No, you're not allowed to look. We've given you the formula, carry on. But it's like, no, we want to help get people in a position where they feel like they don't have to just turn and spend more money to get a problem fixed. Maybe they can just go, wait a minute, didn't they say such and such? Or, they sent us a little video to explain. They've given us all of this information. They've told us that. And then giving people the confidence to just move forward and go a bit by themselves. And I suppose customer service in that sense is that's it. And helping people to not rely on us. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I almost feel like you're kind of educating them.
I don't know whether I'm doing myself out of a job here. But
you're obviously where's the upsell? Where's the secondary spend? But I think the bit that I'm kind of taking from it is we will give you all the help and support that you need so you can move forward. If, however, you love what we do and you feel we can help again, we'd love to. And you create that experience, want them to come back rather than put them off, and that's huge.
It's the main things, isn't it? The little things that you think to yourself, oh God. That's broken again. How do I fix this? It's like, well, maybe it's as simple as, wasn't it just a just look back and, I don't need to call. I don't need to shout and go, it's not working. It's like, I can do this myself and save yourself a bit of time, effort, money. But
and then spend it in the right way.
Exactly. Because, it's none of us are in that, especially as business owners and starting. And in Pembrokeshire, we've got lots of smaller businesses that are starting and it's really difficult to get going because to be successful in business, you need to be able to spend a lot of money. But to spend a lot of money, you've got to create a lot of money. And if you can't create money, it's like,
it's a lovely circle.
So it's straight away you start there just going, wow, how am I supposed to do any of this? If we can help in a way that hopefully that will make people go, actually, no, they didn't just upsell, do this, do that. They say, oh no, if you want that, you're going to have to buy that. If you want this, you're going to have to buy that. That's not in our sort of remit. That's not in our, it's the fact that they'll hopefully come back to us and say, oh, they really helped us with that. Now we've got something that's a little bit more, or we've managed to get to a point where we need to go to the next level. Hopefully they'll come to us then and say, oh, actually, they were helpful. Let's go to them.
Makes sense. Well, if there was something you wanted to share, like a nugget of information that has helped you, either it's a lesson you've learned, some advice you were given or something, what would you want to share with business owners in Pembrokeshire or indeed anywhere that has helped you or you work towards?
For me, it's don't be afraid to be in the room. It's like for a long time, I wouldn't want to do any networking or things like that because going back to that kind of imposters thing. It's like, I'm just a guy pretending to be that. It's don't be afraid to talk to people and ask questions, and don't be afraid to get it wrong, because like everybody says, the old fable, isn't it? Is you learn more through failure. And by trying,
painful but true.
Oh, it is, and I've done plenty of that. I've fallen over many a time, but you've got to get back up. But I suppose this, is for me, when I got introduced to the networking group, the CoLab networking group, it really opened my eyes to, because I was like, why do people want me to be in a room? They're all going to be talking numbers and talking, and everybody, in my mind, every person who owned a business had been to business school and had done this and had done that, and they knew everything about business, and then they're going to look at me and go, you boy, out, it's like, I'm back in school again, so, but it's really not like that.
It's like everybody had a path and maybe they found the business that they weren't expecting, but now they love, and that's a big part of it. That's for sure. So Lloyd, it's been absolutely brilliant chatting, but one really important question I've got to ask you. If people love what you do, like the idea of kind of leveling up their business and moving forward, how do they get in touch? How do they reach out? How do they connect with you if they want to find out more about you and how you can help?
If people want to get in touch, they can visit our website, which is www.mediatomotion.co.uk, or you can drop us a line at office@mediatomotion.co.uk. You can let us know what you want and we'll get back in touch with you. Everything that you'll need to know about us and what we do can be found on the website, so that's probably a good place to start. And then if you really want to see us in person, they can come and see it in our offices, just off Swan Square in Haverfordwest, above Tadaro's. So come and get a haircut.
Haircut and a video.
Haircut and a video.
Sounds like a great
They can look good before they get filmed, see?
Ideal. Love the sound of that. Lloyd, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to seeing the next part of your journey. And thank you for being the first person to join me on my podcast.
Thank you very much, Keith.
Have a great day.
Pleasure, mate.
Cheers, Lloyd.
Cheers, ta.